What up, Buck Nation? We are back with our Week 2 dominance over the Atlanta Falcons. And I guess maybe not dominance because the performance wasn't what we were used to. I feel like the Buccaneers have been struggling a little bit, but we still came out with a 48-25 win. But before I get into my reaction, if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. I am Rami B, and I post weekly Buccaneer reaction videos. Again, I apologize last week. I'm in a new place, moved to, and I don't have my Buccaneer setups yet. But let's get into it. So 48-20. Also, if you see me looking over to my side, I have a screen up with like stats and stuff just so I'm saying the right things. But yeah, a 48-25 win over the Atlanta Falcons. That now pushes us into the sole record holder of the most consecutive 30-point games, 30-plus point games with 9. Previously, we were tied at 8 with the 2007 Patriots and the 2010 Patriots, both led by Tom Brady, and now we own that. And really the scary thing is we haven't been playing our best offense and we're still hitting 30 points easy. Now the fact that, you know, this record, we play the Rams next week, who are a little more difficult, and I think we will need 30 points against the Rams to even have a shot at winning, but it seems like we can keep this streak going for a while. We had a total of 341 total offensive yards. The Falcons had 348, so pretty even on that end. We should have had more. Atlanta Falcons defense isn't that good. Philly hung like 35, I want to say, on them last week, or 32. And Atlanta's offense didn't do that well against Philly, but they did hang 25 on us. As you know, our defense now seems to be a little bit of a, now I don't want to say a liability just yet, but not as dominant as they were last year in the playoffs. We do have SMB out. Carlton Davis went out and came back in. I heard we were talking to Richard Sherman this week, and I think talks will continue definitely when we're going to face the Rams because they're looking really good with Matt Stafford. Now, they're not blowing teams out today. I think they won by a field goal, but Matt Stafford is making right decisions, the good decisions, better than Goff ever did. So that's going to be a challenge. But let me get more into the Bucs stuff. The next week stuff, let's do that later. Brady was 24 of 36 for 5 touchdowns, 0 picks, 1 fumble. The fumble, you know what happens, is his first fumble since we faced Carolina last year, I think in the second game of the season. He now has 4+ touchdowns in 4 straight games, which is tied for the second longest streak since 1958 or whatever, since the merger or whatever that was. Since 1950 something when it was recorded. Beautiful performances from Brady, getting the ball to the open man, getting it to who needs to go. Of course, Brady, no concerns about him. He now has 9 touchdowns in the first 2 games of the season, and I want to say close to 700, 800 yards. I think his career best was 7 touchdowns in the first 2 games of the season, and he's definitely broken that. I feel like, you know, it's unrealistic to think 4 touchdowns a game through the whole season because that'll put him at like 60-something for the year, like 68 or something like that. But definitely, I think averaging 3 touchdowns a game, or 3.5, you know, three or more, is definitely realistic for him, especially with this offense. I mean, our offense hasn't looked the smoothest at all since last, you know, the Dallas Cowboys game and today. They've had their issues and their struggles, but we're still moving the ball down when we need to. We're still scoring. I can't even imagine what this offense would look like when everybody's on the same page and we're not kind of killing ourselves with penalties and turnovers and things like that. Leonard Fournette was 11 for 52. Rushing, Rojo was 6 for 27. I do have a little bit of issue with Rojo. I think, you know, I don't know if Rojo's going to be around after this season. He did have that screen pass where he stepped out short of the first down when he could have just absorbed the hit and gotten the first down, and then we had to go for it on 4th down. He missed up a blitz pickup on that same possession, on that same drive after that, stepping out, and that almost literally cost us, you know, that drive. He ended up getting it on 4th down, but I feel like every time he runs now I hesitate because, I don't know, the way he runs, it feels like he's holding the ball really loose and I'm worried about him fumbling. Leonard Fournette isn't as explosive, but he at least holds the ball better. The run game didn't really do much. I don't see why we run so much, honestly, because I feel like every time we run it just boggles down the offense and slows down the drives. Maybe picking it here and there has been beneficial, or, you know, doing it just to set up the play action, but overall I would rather us just throw because of the weapons that we have. When it comes to receiving, last week everybody was talking about Mike Evans isn't a number 1, AB is the number 1. So I'm going to read these numbers to you, and you tell me who you think is the number 1 receiver. So Evans had 5 receptions for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. Godwin had 4 for 62 and 1 touchdown. Gronk 4 for 39 and 2 touchdowns. It put him at 3 consecutive 2-touchdown games starting at the Super Bowl last year. Fournette was 4 for 24, O.J. Howard 1 for 21, and A.B. 1 for 17. I think this debunks the whole A.B.'s the number 1 guy and Evans is not. Evans is the number 3 because Godwin, like I said last week, I think everybody's going to have the opportunity to be the number 1 receiver per game. just because teams are going to have to adjust. Do you cover Evans? Do you cover Godwin? Last week, AB exploded. Godwin played really well. Evans did nothing. Today, Evans exploded. Godwin did really well, and AB didn't do nothing. Next week, they might focus on taking Godwin out, and you're going to see AB and Mike Evans explode. So I'm not really worried about it, but it is good to see Mike Evans get involved. He's a fan favorite. I feel like there aren't any Bucks fans that don't like Mike Evans. He's a non-diva, non-selfish guy, plays for the team, doesn't care, doesn't start any issues. So it's good to see him get involved and get his touches and, get his touchdowns. He's always going to be a threat in the red zone. And Gronk now, two touchdowns last week, 2 this week. It seems like teams are just leaving him wide open, which makes no sense to me because of who he is. I want to switch over to the defensive side. So defensively, we let Matt Ryan throw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but we did have 3 picks. One of them, a Vita Vea batted ball that went to Shaq Barrett. The next 2 were in the fourth quarter. He was throwing it, I forgot to who, down it would be his right side, and Mike Edwards kind of tipped it up in the air to himself, took it back, and literally I think it was the next drive, a couple of plays later, not even, it was batted up at the line, straight up in the air, and Mike Edwards picked it up, caught it, and then ran it back. So literally and we missed an extra point there. So 13 points right there when we were up 35-20 at that point. Great, I don't want to say the defense had a great defensive performance. The pass rush isn't getting there. We only had 1 sack this week by Ndamukong Suh. We had 1 last week, I think, combined between Dak Prescott and Matt Ryan. They've dropped back for almost 100 passes, and we've only gotten 2 sacks. I don't know what it is. Is our D-line not as good as they were? Did defensive coordinators pick up on something that that other teams did it last year? I don't know what it is. It seemed like today the downfield coverage was a little better than last week. So it seems like Matt Ryan was holding the ball more. I did notice a lot of times he was rushed, but he was just evading tacklers. There was a couple times he was getting hit and he just kind of tossed it up and his receiver somehow got it. And I don't want to say the pass rush didn't do anything. They were definitely impacting him, but they're not really getting home. They're getting like a millimeter off from getting those sacks. So definitely want to see them actually improve on that. The run defense was great. Their leading rusher was Mike Davis, 9 rushes for 38 yards. The receivers, Kyle Pitts, 5 for 73, Ridley, 7 for 63, and Cordell Patterson, 5 for 58. Nobody else had over 50 at that point. I think overall we played a solid defensive game, and now I think we did give up a lot of plays on the field defensively that should have been drives that should have ended. They went for it on a 4th down to score a touchdown. There was a couple times that we had them on 3rd and long and they converted. Definitely need to clean that up. Like I said, if we do get another corner, whether it is Richard Sherman, I know he's not the healthiest, or he's not I think he's healthy overall, but I don't think he's obviously nowhere near his peak and his prime. But it'll be a good addition just for some depth as well, and to have someone that has experience in a game. And even though he may not be as dominant as he once was, he would still definitely impact and help the team. Next week, like I mentioned, is the LA Rams, who look really good. They beat us last year 27-24 at home with Goff, who's not that good. And Goff threw 400 yards on us last year. So I do expect the Rams in their house with all their fans to... I believe Matt Stafford can put up 400 yards on us. I think it's going to be a game where both teams are going to score in the 30s. I really do hope we can pull it off. We do have the weapons, but our defense needs to figure something out. Sean McVay is an offensive genius, and he will know not to run the ball as much, kind of do a Dallas game plan where he's just going to throw more often and keep the run as just like random secondary kind of things. But that's definitely going to be a tough game. I think probably the toughest game of the season for us. The Patriots are the week after. Still don't know. They won 1, lost 1. They beat the Jets. They lost to the Dolphins. Still hard to tell. The Bills, I mean, we'll see how they go on. I think we face them like week 14 or 15. So we still have a lot of time to see. Both our team and their team will change between then. But yeah, so far in the first half of the season, the Rams seem to be the toughest team that we're going to face. But yeah, that's my reaction. Let me know down below what you think of the game. And yeah, a game that we should have won, that we did win, not in the fashion we wanted to. We did beat them by 28. Did take some pick sixes. We definitely left a lot out there on the field. Again, it's good knowing that even when we're not playing our best offensively and defensively, we are able to put points on the board, move the ball down when we need to. And just imagine now if our offense and defense plays a complete game like they did last year in the Super Bowl, what the outcome would look like. But yeah, let me know down below. And as always, Bucs fans, let's go. 2-0, great start. I didn't want to talk about the Saints so much. Jameis had 2 picks, 0 touchdowns after Saints fans applauded him for 5 touchdowns on like 130 yards last week. Saints are 1-1. They don't look that good. Panthers don't really look that good. And as we know, Falcons are 0-2 as well. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I hate when I talk too fast. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, I am out. Let's go!
You a Buccaneer fan? Let me know. We about to witness